Welcome back to Coffey Talk. I'm Kate Coffey Bacon, and I am so glad that you're here. I just wrapped this episode with Gina McGlamry and honestly had no idea where we were going to end up. We started talking about conference season and event culture and all the pressure that comes with it, all of that. And then the conversation took on a life of its own. Gina manages the Business Central channel for TrueCommerce, and she's been in the Microsoft ecosystem long enough to know exactly who she is in it. She shows up to every event clear, present, and fully engaged, and she'll tell you that's not a sacrifice, it's an edge. We talked about being a brand ambassador when the environment is pulling you towards something else. We talked about mentorship and what we owe the people coming up behind us and what they're teaching us right back. We talked about failure and the leaders who refuse to let you stay down. And we ended up somewhere I didn't plan for. We talked about what I call the becoming, the process of turning into who you actually are meant to be instead of who everyone else expects. I think you're really going to love this one. So let's get into it. Gina, welcome to Coffey Talk.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. I am really excited that you are here. We have had many hallway conversations in the past, and you have just always struck me exactly the way I introduced you as someone that is genuinely curious about people, and you are always so very kind. So thank you for agreeing to come on to Coffey Talk. One of the things that has stood out to me always is this idea that work has been secondary to what the things that you really care about, and that's people and connection. What's the story behind your journey?
Oh gosh, yeah. So probably from very early on, I have wanted to maybe understand and own every part of every company I've ever been a part of. And not just company, but I mean, that probably extends to my community and things like that. But certainly from a business perspective, I love learning and I want to understand every aspect of what I'm immersed in and somehow make it better. And then yeah, that generally comes with the responsibility of making sure you are kind to people, you are accountable to people. And I think what a great ecosystem for us both to kind of exercise that muscle in. Both of us, I think, follow that same sort of lifestyle. And this is a place where we get to do all of that. And it really doesn't feel like work a lot of days. So we're very lucky.
Yes, we are. Where are you now in the ecosystem and what are you doing?
Yeah, so I manage our Business Central channel for TrueCommerce. So we're an EDI provider in many ecosystems, but I manage Microsoft, luckily. I've been here a few years, and prior to that, I was at FastPath, which was another Microsoft ISV, also connected to many other ecosystems, and I've always just loved Microsoft. So I thought, if I get the opportunity to only focus in one area, let it be that. And what a ride it's been. I'm very, very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. We work in a very relationship-driven industry. What first drew you to connecting people?
I mean, I think it probably just comes very naturally. I think that the more we collaborate with one another, as I think I initially said, it just makes everything work better, right? When you have better communication with people and you're aligning maybe people that have never met one another, which typically happens, especially in larger organizations, you learn a fully different perspective. And I think it's very easy for us to kind of look at our own lens and what we're doing and accomplishing and ignore the fact that there are 1,000 other realities happening simultaneously to ours. And so if you get to understand somebody and really empathize probably at the end of the day with whatever their world is, then I think they want to work with you. They want to expand with you. And if nothing else, I think it eliminates maybe what we all, or at least I experience, which is like frustration, right? You get frustrated because you don't fully understand why something is working a specific way. But the more you collaborate, the more you connect, the easier it is, I think, for everybody to say, okay, now we have a full understanding what's happening here. Let's find a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed and certainly live about our industry is that so much of our relationship building happens at our events, at conferences,
Yeah.
at dinners and at the after parties, all of the networking events. And while all of that can be so wonderful and fun, it can also create a lot of pressure. You've mentioned before being a good example to your team and navigating event culture differently. Tell me more about that.
Kate, it has to be said, right? These are opportunities for us for sure, but they're also huge tests to our ability to manage, I think, multiple things simultaneously. One of them being, the pressure to entertain. That probably has to be it for me, right? I think there's one aspect that is, let's do the job at hand. Let's understand where we have synergy and where we can, from a business standpoint, accelerate. But then there's this whole other aspect, which is, do you play nicely with people? Are you engaging? Are you fun to be around? And that sometimes in our world is more important than the day-to-day business, oddly enough. And so understanding, wait, what is the most value add for, in my case today, TrueCommerce, right? It's like I can go and I can have a great time, but I can also not be super effective if I'm not prioritizing the right things for me personally, right? So just kind of looking at the history there, I've been a part of lots of different ecosystems, not just SaaS, but I've been in automotive industry, I've been in other industries where we've had conferences and events, and the party atmosphere can be pretty intense. And I love it. It's fun, but it's also like the advantage I get now from not necessarily, let's just even say drinking. That's been a theme of mine for 8 years now. It allows me to really come with a clear head, a lot of energy. And I feel like sometimes people look at that as maybe a deficit. And I kind of look at it like, hey, no, it's actually very additive. It's additive for me. And I think I wish more people viewed it that way if I'm being transparent about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have young team members, young professionals that are looking to me for that leadership and for being that example of how to navigate these networking events, these relationships. I'll tell this really funny story. I've never told this on Coffee Talk, so here's the first one. Years ago, I worked for two angel investors, and if this story gets back to them, this is going to be hilarious. There was a bar that we would always meet with. We had lots of business meetings there. It's a bar about it's kind of in my town, and I knew all the bartenders there, and I would be there for hours during the day and at night and all the events, and I knew all the bartenders. And they knew if an order came in for a tequila soda with 2 limes, that it was just supposed to be soda, no tequila. So,
Very small.
and it's because I would have to be, a lot of the time, I was the only woman in the room. And I would have to keep my wits about me, right? I would have to be able to continue these conversations. A lot of times that we were forging deals, and I was certainly writing go-to-market strategies for some of the companies that we were invested in. And like I said, we held these meetings at this like meeting room above this bar. So the drinking culture was a huge part of that, and I had to stay above board the entire time. And so now the ongoing joke is I still order my drink, my tequila soda with 2 limes. So
Yeah.
I do think that there is a balance in navigating, as you said, this networking culture, these advanced networking opportunities. And I mean, we are there to work at the end of the day. We are there to be work, but that we are there to work.
A ton of fun for me. I mean, these events are very fun. I mean, the non-alcohol part doesn't take anything away. I'm so engaged with people. I get such great ideas. The people in our ecosystem are brilliant. They have wonderful ideas. So it's like, take the opportunity to meet as many people as possible, pick their brain, understand what world they're living in. And like, I don't know, I think this conference season especially just, I think it really shined a light on how powerful channel is, because even just 2 years in a role, you can really see the difference you can make in relationships, right? And your own relationships internally for the company. And I mean, what other way can you do that? I don't know. For businesses, I think it's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a moment when you realized you wanted to approach these environments differently?
I probably just have to shout out maybe like somebody like Trish from Anovia. She was a great mentor to me. And one thing I noticed is at every event, she went to bed at like, not to call her out, but early, right? And I thought, she is, in my view, the most powerful person in our company, and she does not need to prove herself out late at night. And so that model was really powerful for me. And I think it's allowed also me to be a model for people on my team. And I don't know if we wouldn't call each other lame or anything, but the group we have now, we're just like, is it okay that we have to sleep at 10 o'clock? Because, there's a lot to do the next day and we want to be engaging with customers. And that's fun to me. So I don't know. I found myself in a pretty good place.
I told my team we have an event next week. I'm like, we have a 8 a.m. report time and we'll be going and we're on our feet. That is the event culture. It is ongoing, nonstop, and you have to be rested. My goodness. And that, our sleep is so very important. So love that. And I also love that you're modeling that for your team members that are watching and you're mentoring that. You've mentioned having ownership in the company that you work for and in the brand that you work for and being an ambassador for that brand. What does that responsibility mean to you in conference time and out?
And obviously it's a huge responsibility. There's absolutely no way that you can continue in a role like channel year after year if you don't have happy customers and partners, right? I mean, I'm assuming maybe there is a way. There's not a way for me. So when that's the case, I basically have to be accountable to everybody when they need it. And I mean, I know that's a huge responsibility, but it's not hard for me because I understand that partnerships are two-way. And if I want a partner to buy in and help us, then I equally have to be engaged and responsive to them. And when we are at a conference, if their customers are unhappy, right, that certainly isn't a very comfortable conversation. So if you're a brand ambassador, you're essentially saying like, I'm all in on this. And there's no way that we're going to be together next year and you're going to have the same issue that you're dealing with right now with me. This won't be the case next year, right? So, and effective channel managers, that's what they do. And I think that's really from a partner standpoint, what they're expecting is that you are responsive and you're accountable and you do what you say you're going to do. And unfortunately, right, you have that role, but then you have to ensure the rest of your team, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on the situation, everybody else then has to be accountable as well. So obviously I have to keep good relationships internally so that our team feels supported and we aren't essentially fighting one another, that I'm advocating for the partner, but I'm also advocating for my team. And so it's again, a responsibility, but it comes naturally. I think that with, again, candor, accountability, honesty, we find solutions and it works its way. And I think that, for partners is very important. It's important for me as a solution as well.
Yeah, I think that brand ambassador point of view, I think there's a lot of personal branding in that and how you're showing up in channel and the discussions that you're having in all it doesn't matter the hour of day that you're having the discussion. When I step into networking or conference that we'll just say into this conference season, I am a walking example of my company, of my culture principles, of the fundamentals of what we're built on. I see myself as a voice of my company and the trust that is associated with my company. And I am leading in that way. And it is a responsibility. It is a responsibility to be the representative of your company that's out there in such a public way. You are, I am, so many people that we know and trust are, and respect are. You mentioned Trish. Trish is the kind of professional that she doesn't need a last name. She is just Trish and everyone knows who she is, right? To have people that you look to, I mean, Trish, we're talking about you, sister. We're talking about you right now. Like she is someone that I look to for that leadership, for that mentorship in ways to show up. People are watching and she does a really beautiful job with that. So shout out to Trish if you're listening. We love you, girl.
She knows I'm a huge fan, and what I've always said about her and admired is that she's firm, but she's fair. And that's what we can all aspire to be, right? And in this role, it's especially important because we do have to be firm, but we also have to be fair and getting partners what they need and want. So yeah,
Yeah.
she's wonderful.
I did a keynote last Friday on personal branding and how we show up and what our personal brand looks like. And a lot of times I get a question when I present this topic on showing up authentically and professionally. And how do you balance that? So I'll ask you that question, but how do you balance authenticity with professionalism?
Unfortunately, Kate, I wish there was a world in which I could balance it in any way. It really just happens to be that I am who I am in
Yes.
business and in my life. And yes, I think we've talked before about presenting a certain role, which I think, of course, to some extent, we're in business and we have to act professional, but I'm intensely passionate. I mean, that it just like comes across in everything I do. And so I can't really hide that. At times I wish I were in more control of it, honestly, and could prioritize things as non-emergencies and not feel everything as an emergency in my nervous system, frankly. But I'm like, I want to, I don't know. I know instinctively I want to produce. Maybe the more healthy version of myself is saying, how can I produce things in a healthy way and not feel like production is a reflection of my value,
Yeah.
right? And so that is probably, I don't know that I'm balancing it one way or the other, but it's just yeah, I think I'm probably not great at putting on a role, and people are going to see what they're they're going to get for better or worse. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say the older that I've gotten, the more comfortable I am in my own skin. And the more, I won't say that I wasn't ever willing to show up in an authentic way, because I was, but I'm very comfortable in my skin and a career, a proven track record. And I definitely think that helps to have a proven record of performance. But I think you said it. I think showing up authentically as yourself, it, I don't show up any way other than me all the
I
time,
could tell.
right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just
Yeah, and
me
you gravitate towards that, right?
all the
People
time.
do.
It is
Yeah.
you get what you get. Like this is me in every, whether the flower's on or the flower's off.
Mhm.
Like it's the same. It's the same person. I might not be. The only difference I'll say with me when I'm home, and a lot of people know this, is that I don't socialize a lot. I'm very happy sitting at home with a book, with my husband, with conversation. With that would be the only difference of like what home Kate versus like out in the wild
I
Kate.
would have not guessed that, Kate. I would have
Really?
thought you were just a little social butterfly at home as well.
No, I'm not.
Makes me feel better
Yeah,
because I
right.
know you do a lot and we probably have this image of many people the same way. Yeah, it's good. You do need a break because, yeah, you really, I mean, you're so engaging when we're in person and it does take its toll, right? And when you're doing that consecutively, I mean, I think this year I had projected at least 10 in-person events and then probably it will end up being somewhere around 13, 14. And for mothers and people who have real lives, I mean, it's a tall order at times. And so doing it year after year, as we said, being engaging and also accountable for our teams. It's nice to know that you give yourself a break
I do.
when you're not doing all of that.
I
So I'm proud of
absolutely.
you for that.
Oh, thank you, Gina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I do show up authentically, as do you, in everywhere that I go. And in all of my endeavors, it's so much easier to just be yourself than to try and put on a show and be something that you're not. Showing up as you are is so much easier. So we have, I'm working with all these women with She Builds, and I have some other things in the works with women in tech led initiatives. And I'm getting the opportunity to talk to a lot of younger professionals. I get a question. I'm going to ask you this question. When our younger women are entering into the industry, what do you hope they are seeing when they're watching leaders navigate these spaces?
I mean, I think the question, what I hope they see is leadership that takes their concerns seriously
Yeah.
and doesn't minimize the role and impact they can have on an organization because they're a younger person. I hope that they see leaders who want to mentor them and spend time with them and engage with them instead of necessarily micromanage or dictate to them what they should be doing, but model instead a behavior is super powerful, as we said. I hope that they find leaders who are invested in their growth and who want to see them not only in the role they're in, but to flourish into other roles. And I would like them to see leaders who look at their individual attributes and find roles potentially later on where they're a better fit, because we know our young professionals start in one category, as I did, right, in marketing and events, and then they learn the business and then they become account managers or customer success like I did, and then they manage partners. So, right, understanding this person could potentially add a lot of long-term benefit, right? And investing in them early. I'm hoping that's what they're going to find. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's everywhere. And I think there is a newfound interest. I guess I shouldn't say a newfound interest. There is a really exciting initiative going on in the channel for us with really getting serious about mentorship
Mm.
and not only getting serious about mentorship, but discovering what our young professionals need from us when it comes to mentorship. Because the ideas that we have for what we think they might need are might not be accurate. They might need something completely different. Maybe they, I mean, I've got young daughters, adult daughters, and I often ask them, "What do you need from me right now? Like, do you need advice from me? Do you just want to talk through this with me?" And a lot of times I think that's true. I think our younger professionals just want a space that they can talk and brainstorm, and maybe they don't want advice, but I think for us to say, what do you need? How can I show up better for you right now?
Such a funny phenomenon I was thinking about this morning was I also feel like I'm still 20 years old and I'm sort of still there wasn't like a passage of time I clocked where I was like, "Oh wait, no, I used to be Erica and now I'm Gina and I used to be, and there used to be somebody who was 20 years older than me and I was looking to them for advice." I feel like somehow I missed the transition. And so it doesn't always occur to me that I have the expertise or advice to provide to somebody who is younger, right? But you are spot on that they need an open space to communicate and to have their ideas taken seriously. And I think the point about not clocking the transition is to point out how I'm not really any different of an individual than I was in many ways as a 20-year-old. I think I still had very good ideas and I was driven and I had, I was, I think, solution oriented. And so I don't know, I'm very passionate about feeling like we're all very much at a level playing field. And if anything else, we're and people in our 40s, I think, are maybe a little behind now, right? With all of the change and transformation. So
Wow.
it will maybe in some ways become a two-way street, if we would call it that, right? They'll be educating us as well. And so I'm fully in support of that motion, Kate. And, again, anything I can do to spend my time and energy and volunteering, I'm always happy to do because yeah, we need ideas from one another and I'm always happy to join in the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, today I called on one of my channel mentors. I have several women specifically where I am in a little bit, nothing's wrong. Like everybody, everything is fine. But I'm
Yeah.
like in a situation where I'm like, I need a little bit of help navigating this scenario. And I call on my mentors and say, can I have an hour of your time tomorrow? I need to run this scenario by you and get your feedback. And when it comes to mentorship, we are never beyond it. We're never beyond it in our career. There's always someone that we can look to help us through. What's something that you don't feel obligated to prove anymore?
Yeah. So I think I don't have an obligation to prove that my opinion is well founded, frankly.
Mhm.
I've had enough experience now to see, I think, specific trends, especially in our ecosystem. It's pretty clear to me at this point what creates success in channel. And so I don't feel the need to prove my theory anymore about how we find success. And so that's been exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. That resonates with me because I do show up much more confident in my opinions and in the way that I approach strategy and the way that I approach new ideas. And I ask a lot of questions. I ask a
Thank you.
lot of, okay, well, let me run this scenario by you. What would
Mhm.
happen in this scenario? And, what if we had a customer that had this? Like, let's look at the customer journey and what would the customer's experience be with this? And I ask a lot of questions. And as I'm asking, I'm like, and I'll even say this on calls, I'm like, I'm not trying to be a naysayer. I'm just trying to see this from all angles.
Sure.
And that answer feels so big and so real. And I feel somewhat validated in the
No, I
reason
mean,
that,
look, I
I,
think especially in marketing, it has to be true because my experience has been, especially in partner marketing, you've got the partner marketing person who has marketing, right, influencing what they do on a daily basis. And then they have generally channel also dictating that for them. Maybe their biggest superpower is saying this doesn't work.
yeah,
And I think, again, that's something Lauren does really well to say, guys, great ideas, but
yeah,
let me tell you what's actually going to resonate because I'm the person closest to this internally. I'm meeting with, again, the value of the network of channel. All the people that she works with on a daily basis, yourself included, help influence what she can then bring back to the business. So, me as a channel manager, I really am not trying to become a marketing expert. I'm trying to facilitate the relationships that will help bring in new business, right? But it's obviously a team effort and there's nobody that's going to be more intimately close to it or I think capable of making those decisions for the company than somebody like Lauren or yourself.
yeah. Wow. Thanks for saying that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lauren is an A team player.
Yeah.
She is impressive in every way. Every interaction that I have with her, I just am excited to be in her front row because I know that she is going to do really incredible things, and I'm very thankful to know her and watch her grow and even step into herself even more because she will. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know who you're going to be 20 years from now, and it is glorious. Like, she's already phenomenal.
Aw.
Lauren, we're talking about you, girl.
Yeah.
Love it. Gina, what are you learning right now?
What am I
Personally,
learning?
professionally, what are you learning about?
Gosh, I'm learning how to clear through the noise of many, many, many different initiatives,
Uh,
right? Learning how to key focus because many of us channel managers, we're given a lot of leeway, right? To understand our own businesses and decide where we spend our time.
yeah,
So in order to do that most effectively, I sort of have to block and tackle that way because as you know, there are endless projects, events, things that we could spend our time, money, energy on. So yeah, I'm learning how to not add more. I'm
yeah,
learning how to own my own role only and to allow other people to do their jobs and to sometimes let things fail. And, that is an endless exercise for me, but it's probably the thing I'm focusing most on right now.
yeah. That's powerful. I was in a leadership course at the beginning of this year with 6 other women, led by someone that I know and respect so much. And early on it was a virtual learning, and early on in one of our calls, one of the participants said, just because you can do everything well doesn't mean you should.
I know.
And I
So painful, isn't it, Kate?
so painful.
It's so painful. And not to say I do everything well, but I mean, it's hard when you are driven and a go-getter to just chain that. But
Yeah.
you must, right? You must
Yeah.
because that's the
Yeah.
most effective way, right? And
That
otherwise you burn out. Sorry, I meant you should finish your thought. I didn't mean
no,
to cut
I
you.
please interject at any time. I do see that as a big leadership learning journey for me, is that, and I don't do everything well, my goodness, but just because I can do something doesn't mean I should. Made me take inventory
Yeah.
of my life in work and out of work and say,
Mhm.
what is pressing? What is the most important? Where do I need to show up? Where do I need to step back? And that happened, I'll say honestly, right at the right time. Learning that lesson and exercising that muscle happened right at the right time, because that was at the same time that my team was growing. And it was a lot of, as you said, like, not that anyone is failing, no one is failing, certainly, but I have to give my team at large the room to make mistakes. I can't step in and save every situation. I have to give them room to make the mistakes so they can have the experience. There's a quote that says, experience is the name I give my failures. And that's
It's
really
great.
powerful. We have to
Yeah.
fail. We have to
Sure. It's
fail.
painful, but we have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's what keeps us many times from acting, myself included. I want things to be perfect, and many times I'm just over engineering, overthinking instead of just acting,
Yeah.
right? And so that's really it's a learning curve that I'm really trying to lean into, because at the end of the day, like, most of this stuff is, I think it's not super world-ending critical, right? We can fix, right? Generally.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you, I'm trying to help create the leaders of the future. I'm trying to
Yeah.
have, offer the support, but not be the decision maker. Offer,
Yeah.
I'm here if you need me for that mentorship, for that, again, how do you need me right now?
Yeah.
What do you, and turning that question on them and letting them tell me, no,
Yeah.
Kate, I need you just to handle this right now. Okay, I'm going to
Mhm.
handle it, but I'm going to let you walk through the steps of how I would handle this. Those are my conversations with my team, and watching them. I mean, we hired 4 people this year. So we
Yeah.
really grew our team, and
It's exciting.
watching, yeah, it's so exciting. So
Yeah.
watching them go and do and learn and be is really exciting. And, and also, I can just say one more thing about it. You have me on a passion kick right now. Also, you know, applauding them when they do things right, and applauding them for owning their failure too, and saying, okay,
Yes.
that
That
might not
didn't
have,
work.
it didn't
Yeah.
work. Okay, it
I
didn't
this
work.
this exact thing happened. I hate to I maybe I'm giving too much information, but I had a partner call, and I would say most of the time, 99% of the time, because I've been in this a while, the calls go as I expect. But this week one did not, or last week, and I went to Mesa.
Right.
I said, "Mesa, this call just did not go the way I thought it would." In fact, it was like kind of embarrassing, because I had Lauren on and I was proposing something and the partner was just not on board, and it was embarrassing, but it was actually not totally a loss, right? Because I learned, well, this doesn't make sense for the partner. It's a painful lesson, but now we know. I learned I should have been, maybe slightly more prepared and not waited as long as I should have to execute. But yeah, I mean, look, it's like it wasn't the end of the world. I'm sure the partner barely noticed. I don't think he even clocked anything was even wrong. It was just we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, right? And so it's great to then have, to your point, a leader who does not get upset about something like that, but instead embraces it as like a learning lesson for everybody, and there's no shame in making mistakes, right? I think that's, at the end of the day, you have to have a leader who encourages you no matter what, right? And who basically has your back. And I mean, that goes such a long way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you already model that from what I can tell, and I'm sure they're very lucky to have you
Oh,
as
well,
well.
thank you for saying that. I
Yeah.
I have been very fortunate to have really incredible leaders in my life, in my professional world along the way. And listen, there about 15 years ago, I blew it with a go-to-market strategy with a new client. I mean, I blew it. Like, oh, it was so bad. I blew the pitch. I just blew it. And afterwards I'm like, I'm in tears. And she was like, basically like, but did you die?
You're still here, right? Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
still
Very good.
here. your value has not changed because this didn't go well. What did you learn here? And, I rattled off 3 things that I learned that changed me, that changed the way that I approach these situations, that changed the way that I approach to go-to-market strategy, and it made me better. And she was like, all right, let's try again tomorrow. What incredible leadership from her.
It had to build loyalty to her also, right? I mean, ultimately, that's what we're all aiming for here, is that you want to build loyalty among your team. And the only way to do that is to support people, right? And when they make mistakes. And it's very easy to point fingers at people and blame other people for failures. But great leaders, great coworkers, they build each other up. They don't get convoluted with things that are not helpful, right? And they just drive forward. And I think we do that really well as a team. And so it's exciting.
Very exciting. Well, Gina, our Coffey Talk started out being in one direction and we took it in a totally different one. And I really love where we ended. I really love the direction that this Coffey Talk took on leadership and showing up and being authentic, and the struggle that can maybe be for some of our younger professionals, and the growth that's in there. Whenever I have anybody on Coffey Talk, I say, I'm going to send you a list of questions for prep, but I am totally fine if this goes off the rails and we end up in somewhere else completely, because this is the conversation. This is a living, breathing conversation. So I really love where we went with this.
We need more of these conversations, right? I think we just need to be reminded we're all just people and we're here to do the right thing, hopefully. And I know you're one of those people. So thank you again.
Yeah. And this really is a journey. And I think it's important for us to talk about our leadership and what we're doing, where we were, where we are now, how far we've come, to talk about that's the crux on Coffey Talk, and why I founded it, is to talk about our failures, our pivots, what we learned, and how it helped shape us into who we are today. These conversations are important because, if someone's listening and they're like, oh, I just blew it with a deal, like there's no recovering from this. But did you die?
There is recovering. There's recovery.
And what did you learn? And how are you going to show up differently tomorrow because of what you learned today? And I think that gets us closer to the becoming. I call it the becoming of who we're kind of, created to be. It is such a glorious process, and I wouldn't trade any step along the path because it got me right to where I am now. That's my take on it. But
you're wonderful, Kate. Thank you again.
Gina, this has been such a very thoughtful, truly authentic conversation. Like I said, we went somewhere completely different, and I love it, and I'm here for it. This has been a reminder to me that, our leadership, our authenticity is a journey, and it can't be measured by success. It's becoming who we're meant to be, not who other people expect us to be, but having courage to become more of who you already are and who you're already becoming. Wow. Thank you, Gina, for coming on Coffey Talk. As I close us out, is there anything else you want to add?
Love you, girl. Thank you for everything.
Girl, love you right back. Thank you for joining me on Coffey Talk. To the listeners, thank you for tuning in today. What a treat. Thank you for giving me your time. I know your time is so valuable. Until next time, this has been Coffey Talk.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you for joining us today on Coffey Talk. A special thanks to my guests for sharing their story, and to you, the listener, for being a part of this conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a Monday morning chat. Until next time, I'm Kate Coffey Bacon, and this has been Coffey Talk.